Hello, folks. Happy Thursday. I'm with Journey again, and it is time for acknowledging our elders. Thanks for joining us today. Um, it's just Journey and I today. We are without a guest. We decided to do a recap this week and discuss what are some of the items, some of the elders we've been talking about, some of the plants we've been acknowledging, and how we can be connecting with them now that it's spring and it's warm out and they're starting to show up for us. So we're really excited to be with you. Journey, how you doing this morning?
Yes, well, hi everyone. I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm actually a little antsy because I want to get out and find some things. I have specific things that I want, and it's been a couple of days that I haven't been out, so I'm like, that's how I'm feeling at the moment. But I am definitely excited for today, what we're going to be talking about, and kind of go over a little bit, just to kind of reinforce some of the things we talked about, and that kind of helps everyone to kind of like, oh, okay, if you forgot something, um, hopefully we'll get to remind you of that today and encourage you guys to come outside. You know, the weather, as you guys have seen this past couple of days, especially yesterday, it's been really nice. So let's take advantage. It's spring, let's come outside, let's explore, right, our green spaces. Definitely come to Concrete Plant and see if you can find these plants. You know what I mean? It's there, it's safe. So have fun with it.
Yes, and on that note, today is, I think, our last dry day before we enter a couple rainy days. So if you can get out today, I second what Journey is saying. Get outside, um, take a walk, meet your local plants.
Yes.
So, so you're gonna see a lot of familiar plants we've talked about. I'm gonna screen share real fast so we can just go right into things. But like Journey said, we wanted to kind of recap now that it is warm out. We wanted to make sure that y'all knew what you could find outside. All right, here we go. Cool. So one of our plant friends we've been seeing a lot of, and I personally have been connecting with a lot lately, has been Mugwort.
Oh yeah.
And Mugwort, Andrea brought up a few weeks ago. Journey, what have you been seeing on the streets with Mugwort?
Well, Margaret, a lot of it right now are in their adolescent stage, right? They're moving from their baby stage to the adolescent stage. So I'm seeing a lot of them, but because it's been raining a lot this past couple of days, like everything is just blooming really, really, really fast. So I've seen a lot of mugwort and I'm excited about it because they're looking really good, fresh, young, green, like a nice light green, and the smell. The smell is quite strong at this stage because they're still very young. So I've been seeing it a lot.
I was gonna say you either love or hate.
Yeah. Now.
Sorry to cut you off there. I was just gonna say about the smell. It's distinct, so that's a great identifying factor.
That is like one of the easiest way to identify mugwort. It's scent because the leaves, even if you guys look on the screen, the top leaves start to change, right? They're not identical. So in different stages it changes, but the smell stays the same. The smell definitely stays the same. And you also want to look under the leaves, right? You'll see a grayish silver type of color, right? That is another great indicator, identification marker of mugwort. So if you look underneath and you don't see that grayish silver color in the back, is definitely not mugwort. Mugwort always has that. And then the scent, the smell never changes. It might be strong or weaker depending on the stage of this particular plant. So let me just tell you guys why you should definitely become friends with mugwort and get you some mugwort, right? First of all, it is part of the daisy family. So if you have any allergies, um, in any kind of daisy, you're allergic to daisy, right? That means that you also have to be cautious with mugwort as well, because they're in the same family. Mugwort, you can eat it. You can use it as a green. You can put it in your soup. You can mix it with your spinach or use it by itself. It actually tastes pretty good. I've had it in the soup and I enjoyed it very much. So you can also cook with it. If you love smudging, mugwort is an amazing plant to use as a smudge sticks instead of the white sage, because if you guys don't know, the white sage, it is an endangered plant, and there is just not enough of it out there growing in the wild, and we want to kind of leave that plant alone and allow it to flourish, right? And the best way of doing that is also for us to kind of pivot and go from using the white sage and using another plant, because the higher the demand, the more people are going to go out there and harvest and take these plants. And in the long run, we're going to lose, because if it goes extinct, that's it, right? So we also want to be mindful, and mugwort is a great replacement for white sage in terms of smudging. And because there's so many of it, you don't even have to spend any kind of money except just getting your little twine, right? And turning it into a smudge sticks. So if you don't know how to make a smudge sticks, you can go to YouTube, they'll hook you up with that. But it's great to use that way. You can also use it in tea form, right? So if you have any kind of menstrual cycle issues, right, cramps, or your periods coming in late, that type of things, you can use mugwort to help you with that as well. It's actually known as the woman's herb because it's just really good at helping our reproductive organs. Another thing too, not just for the women but also for guys, or male and female alike, is you can also use it if you have muscle ache, right? Your bones, or not your bones, but your muscle is aching after working out. Using mugwort in a bath, very soothing. It will calm you down, it will relax you, it will help with the pain as well. So mugwort is definitely the go. And that's not all. If you want to tap into your spirit or the spiritual realm type of thing, mugwort is perfect because it does have an effect where it gives you lucid dreaming. If you've never had lucid dreaming, well, mess around with mugwort and you'll definitely experience that. So, you can use it in that way too, but it's very relaxing and soothing, like I mentioned before. So you can also use it before going to bed to just kind of help you. It's not going to knock you out, but it's just going to relax you. So those are my top reason why you guys should definitely get some mugwort and see how you like it, you know? What do you think, Nathan?
Yes. I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, I've been, as I mentioned earlier, I've been connecting with Mugwort because it's just so abundant right now. It's just springing up everywhere around the foodway. It's starting to climb over things, and so I've been harvesting some right before I just pull it out and clear out an area, and drying it here at the office for teas and other things to share with folks. But a good plant to definitely connect with. And also, if you're looking for some action items and want to go out to the foodway and remove some mugwort, that would be helpful as it begins to grow. It's at nearly about 4 feet, 3 feet now, which is pretty incredible. So I welcome you to the foodway to pull or to take some mugwort.
Yeah.
Is it cool to move on to common violet?
Common violet.
This plant, I was gonna say, Journey, this plant has been calling to me this morning. I've been really thirsty and I just keep seeing it everywhere. And it's like been reminding me as I do work outside to drink a glass of water or maybe just to eat some violets.
Yeah, Violet is like, hey,
um,
let me help you. I can cool you off.
mm.
Oh yeah, Violet is blooming right now. Like if you haven't been outside, this is a great time to be outside because you'll look down and you're gonna see a bunch of purple bluish flowers just taking over all over the place. And those are our common blue violet. Now, these plants, one of the easiest way to identify it, you want to look at the leaves, right? So the shape that you're seeing here, is it a deltoid shape? I see it as a heart shape. That's the shape that I call onto it, a heart shape. So if you see a purple flower, sometimes it's also white and blue with a heart-shaped leaf just like this, that is common violet, right? Those you can't go wrong. But if it's a purple flower or bluish flower and the leaves are not in a heart shape, that is not common violet. You know, the leaves is really what's going to help you identify, because there are other flowers that are just like this purple flowers right here. So you want to make sure that you identify it with the leaves. It's really important. And also touch it. If you touch the leaves, it feels cooling. Like it's cool. It's not, you feel a difference when you touch it. So kind of touch it. Um, I love this plant. You can use the flowers, you can use the leaves. The flower, you can dry it up. I have some that are dried because I've been collecting them. Okay. And I have to go back out there and get some more. I also get the leaves as well. The leaves are very moistening. So if you have a cold, if you're dehydrated, right, this is the herb that is going to hydrate you, that's going to coat your throat and help you get out, expel whatever mucus or things that your body's trying to get out of you, right? It's going to help with that. And it doesn't taste bad at all. It tastes really good. You could make syrup with the flour, and they'll give you like this beautiful bluish, purplish type of color. If you add some lemon juice into the mix, it tends to be really beautiful, very tasty. Otherwise, like even when you harvest it, you can just dry it up and use it for later. You know, you don't have to do anything immediately with it. You can just dry some and keep some for you for later in case you need it. But I love this plant.
Yes.
You can also use it on your
I
skin too.
shout out to
If you have eczema and it's like out, it's drying, it's getting really bad, pick up some of that leaf, crush it really well, and put it on it. It's going to cool you off, and it's also going to hydrate that patch in that area. So that's violet.
Yes, and shout out to Christian who brought this plant into these conversations, our acknowledging our elder series. And you can find these right at the center of the Foodway. They're in tight little clusters and like little rosettes of leaves. And right now they're huge. Like the leaves are really large. So you're going to look out for larger leaves. I think the ones in this image are closer to the size of the flower, which is probably the size of a dime or a nickel. And the leaves now are at least 2 inches. They're pretty big, but very succulent. That's the word that comes to mind when I touch the leaves.
Yeah.
But I love it. All right. On to the next one. Our beloved lemon balm.
Oh, lemon balm.
Which Journey your daughter introduced earlier this season.
Yeah, she loves herself some lemon balm. Oh yeah, so this is a really awesome plant. Now that's not, you're not going to accidentally, you're not just going to find lemon balm growing in the wild any place, right? Usually when you do encounter it, is because it escaped. Okay, somebody planted it and then it escaped and found itself just roaming down the street, you know, and sending the seed in different places. That's the only way you'll be able to really just run into it. But other than that, to grow it, it's a really good plant to grow as well. It is part of the mint family. Lemon balm, because when you smell it, it has a lemon scent to it. You know, it has a lemon scent to it. And then when you smell it, it makes you feel good. It makes you smile. It kind of opens you up. It's like, it gives you that kind of feeling by smelling it, which means that it has a lot of oil, volatile oil, which is then used really needed to have a really effective essential oil, so to speak. And that's where the medicine and the magic of lemon balm lies, in the oil that it has. It's a really good plant to help to calm you down. It's great for the nervous system. So when you are anxious, you feel like all over the place type of situation, lemon balm is really good to use for that. It also is a great antiviral herb. So dealing with any kind of virus and infection, lemon balm is really, really great. There's been a lot of research that was done on lemon balm. Is also known to be really good for herpes outbreak, right? You can actually use it if you do have an outbreak. Lemon balm does help with that. So it's a great antiviral. You can use it on your skin. You can make a great tea with it. You can even make, for those of you that like to drink, you can turn into a liqueur. It's just, there's nothing you can't do with lemon balm. I just love this plant. I actually intended to make some syrup with it so I can just drink it whenever I have the need for it. But I got some and I left my bag somewhere. I don't remember. So that never happened.
Oh, we got to make some this summer. You got me inspired. I think I'm gonna head over to the Foodway and grab some later this afternoon. And one thing I found really important that you told me was this is a plant that you want to use fresh. So not something you can kind of hang on to and dry out. It just loses its potency. So you want to harvest this and then quickly kind of use it before it starts to die on you too quickly.
Yeah, this one is like, you will know the difference too, because when it says dry and even smelling it, the smell is not as strong. The taste, even in your tea, is not as strong that with the fresh one. And even making an oil infusion with lemon balm is best to do it with a fresh a fresh one to really just get all of that good medicine. And when you're making your tea with the fresh one, make sure you cover your pot, okay? Because remember, the oil will escape through the steam, okay? So you want to keep everything in.
Good tip. Good tip. All right, and you can find this below the service berries, where we have intentionally planted some little cuttings, and then at the northern section of the foodway, underneath the pear trees, you can find a whole host of it. And again, it sounds like just really touch it, look for that lemony smell, and yeah, you
Be nice to
probably found it.
Melissa.
But
Melissa loves to give herself
yes.
to people in abundance. So, be nice. Introduce yourself to her.
Yes. And only take a small portion, revisit, come back again when you need more. Save some for others. Right. Another plant friend we've been seeing all over the park is our dear friend broadleaf plantain, as well as narrowleaf plantain. These have been just popping up anywhere there's been disturbed soil, and these days at concrete there's been a lot of action with the tree plantings that have been happening and all the garden work that's been happening, and so they're just showing themselves right in those locations where we've cultivated soil. And personally, I've been connecting with Plantain because of all the garden work. My skin has really been quite mad at me for all the labor, and so I find Plantain very I have a salve that I made with Plantain, or was gifted with Plantain, and it's really great at the end of the day to heal some of those cuts. And they heal really fast. That's one thing I've been noticing is fast. Like the actual wounds are closing faster, and it's healing quite fast. But Journey, what are some other ways that we can connect with Plantain?
Wow, let me just tell you, summer's coming up. That means mosquito season is ahead of us. So, okay, mosquito season is ahead of us. A whole bunch of scratches, kids falling off their bike, wound, like all of this stuff typically happens a lot in the summertime because we are out running, biking, right? All kinds of things happen. And this is a great time for Plantain, to use Plantain, because it is an amazing wound healer, right? So if you get bit by a mosquito, right, and you're at the park, instead of scratching it and making it worse, right, causing more inflammation in that area, grab some plantain nearby you, break it up, chew it up, and then squeeze that juice, that suckers off of it, or just put that whole thing in that area where you just got bit by a mosquito. Even if it's a bee sting, the same thing. You want to use the plantain on it, and it's going to at least bring the inflammation down, right? You might still itch a bit, right? But it's going to make it more tolerable. It does. Sometimes it takes it away, but sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not going to tell you it's not lemon balm. See, if you see Melissa, skip plantain and go for lemon balm, so you get that immediate relief. But you can use plantain in that way for that. If you have a wound, specifically a puncture wound, right? Plantain, it is amazing at pulling infection out of the wounds, pulling infection, pulling any kind of bacteria, anything. It pulls it out, and then it assists the skin in healing in a way that it's not fast healing, but it just ensures that everything it's happening in the way that it's supposed to. So it is great with that. So you can make like an oil infusion, make a salve with it, or you can use it as a poultice. You know, a poultice is that first example I gave you, to take the fresh plantain, chew it up. That's a poultice, right? But if you have it at home, you can dry it up, grind it up into powder, add some water to it, right? Turning it into a paste. That's an poultice too, and that's what you'll place over your wound, or anything like that. So I love to use it in that way. And any kind of skin issue you have, you know, you can use plantain on it, and it's going to help. Even like when I say anything, a bump, eczema, whatever it is, plantain will assist with that. But it doesn't stop there. It's also good for digestion, your digestive system. So if you have stomachache issue, if you have diarrhea, right, it also helps with diarrhea. And if you ever use psyllium husk, or you've heard of psyllium husk, well, let me introduce you to the plant that made it all possible, plantain. So that's where we get our psyllium husk from. So you can also use the seed when it goes into its seeding stage, right? You can use the seed the same way you use flaxseed. If you ever use flaxseed in food, or you turn it into gel to use it in your hair, you can do the same thing with plantain seed. And then the husk of that seed, you can use it in the same way that you use psyllium husk. So grind it into powder and mix it in your food or mix it in your drink or your smoothies. You can do it that way. So plantain, we have that everywhere. It's really, really accessible. So we can, make use of it.
It's true. And like I said, disturbed soils, they're really good at colonizing or taking over these spaces where soil has been disrupted. And fortunately, it's being replaced with good stuff. Uh, so keep an eye out for that. All
Oh yeah.
right. One of my favorite plants this year, Journey. I was ever since I have learned about the deliciousness of raspberry leaves, I'm just like constantly drinking raspberry tea.
That is awesome. Yeah, this is an amazing plant, and the leaves are amazing. You can use it in tea. You can, I mean, that is one of the best way to use the leaves. Use it in terms of a tea. It is in the herbal world. It is known as a nourishing herb, meaning that this particular plant has a lot of vitamins and minerals. And because it has a lot of it, the more it's nourishing our body. It just doesn't have just healing properties, but it's also giving us nutrients that we need on a daily basis. So you can enjoy a cup of, you can drink raspberry tea every day and nothing bad is going to happen to you. Not like most herbs, sometimes you have to take a break or you can only use it for this and then you have to stop. Raspberry tea, you can drink it daily. It's very, very beneficial. It's also really good for the reproductive system as it helps to tone the uterus. Um, I love this plant. It is also great for diarrhea. That is not the first thing that pops in mind when you have diarrhea, but if you have diarrhea and you have raspberry leaves at home, use it. Okay. It is very, very helpful. It will help to stop the diarrhea, and it is actually providing you with nutrient, because when you have diarrhea, you're actually losing a lot of nutrient because your body didn't process the food and it didn't absorb any nutrient out of it. So you're actually deficient during that time. So taking in raspberry, while it's helping to stop the diarrhea, is also giving your body's nutrients that it missed out on. So, I think it's a win-win. And then if you want to get funky with it, once the fruit come in, you can mix the two together. You know what I mean? You can if you're doing like a smoothie and you're using berries, right? You can make a raspberry tea, let it cool off, do your berry, smoothie thing or whatever it is that you do, and then just add the tea instead of the milk or with the milk together. So you get the best of both worlds. Or if you make a tea, just add the raspberry juice, if you juice the berries into the tea, so you can get, those two.
I love it, and I'm hoping I can work on my dehydration skills and dry some berries for tea. Because I just think that feels so like special and luxurious to have some fruit in your tea that's like dried. That's my goal this year, 2022.
Yeah, you need a dehydrator for that one though, because unfortunately,
Mm,
because it's juicy, it's mold. It's going to mold. So putting in the dehydrator is the best way of doing that. And you know what you can do
yes, you
too?
speak the truth. I
You know what you can do too? You could do a raspberry syrup and use that syrup to sweeten your raspberry tea.
ooh, I think that might be the better choice.
Yeah. You know what?
Awesome.
That's
Let's
something
keep
we
this
can,
going.
we can
Yeah,
actually do once in the fall or whenever the berries come in.
I love that. We've been making service berry teas. I mean, actually, we're about to dip into some berry talk, so let's actually just go straight there as we're talking about fruit. All right, so we're on the horizon of our berry season at the Foodway. So we were acknowledging some plants that are ready to harvest at this point, and raspberries, I guess, are that middle ground. You can harvest the leaves, but we're all really excited, I think, for the berries to come out. Um, and yeah, Journey, do you want to guide us through the fruit that we have acknowledged here?
Yes. Okay. The beginning of berry season is starting. So, our first berry of the season is the service berry, also known as June berry. Okay. Um, it's everywhere. The photo that you guys are seeing, those dark purple, that's the stage of when it's actually ready to be eaten. You can see a nice deep red, but you want to wait until it's dark purple. The flowers is what you're seeing in the bottom. That's the picture of the service berry tree in flowering stage. So that's going to be our first one. It tastes really, really good. We have quite a few trees at the Foodway. So next month, I will say the middle of June, you know, that's when right, Nathan? The middle?
Yeah, I would say the middle of June. I looked at the service berries yesterday, and you can see they are starting to form the berries. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say probably mid-June, a month from now.
Mid-June, come have a feast with us with that one. It's gonna be delicious. Strawberries are next, and strawberries, June is their month too. So now you may or may not, you may get them, you may not. This is one that we have a really hard time keeping all the way through because let me tell you, our strawberries are tasty even when they are not red. But so because of that, we get impatient and we don't know what it's.
I appreciate that Journey's laughing really hard because Journey is thinking of a moment where we were outside, where you were outside and you saw people snatching the berries before it was ready, right? I
Yeah,
feel
it
like
was
you have to
already.
share.
No, because it was just like, what's happening? And then when I went and I tasted, I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. But yeah, so next month,
It's true.
that's strawberry season. So definitely come. And it's a nice little hunt because you really have to move things, right? You have to really get in there. Don't think you're just gonna walk and strawberry is gonna be staring you in the face. It's not. You have to look for them, and when you find them, it's nothing like eating fresh strawberries. Okay, so definitely enjoy it. And strawberry leaves, just like raspberry leaves, are also medicinal. So you can use it in the same way as you would the raspberry leaves that we just went over not too long ago. So that's a 2 for 1.
I Yes, thank you, Journey, for that. I would just note there are mock strawberries, mock strawberries that are growing at the Foodway. They have yellow flowers. So just remember that the flowers that you want to be eating the fruit from are white. So you can see a nice little photo there. And you'll actually see on the tip of the flower the formation of the fruit starting to happen. So check that out. The leaves are bigger on the real strawberries. And then the flowers are white.
Yeah, the mock strawberry, it's not poisonous. So if you eat it by accident, you know you don't have strawberry because the fruit has no taste. So you'll be like, oh, the strawberry is so small and it has, yeah, that's the mock strawberry. So next and final one, but this one it is amazing too, is the mulberry. The mulberry comes out right around when service berry starts to make its way out. And this one, that's those fruit that when you're walking down the street, sometimes you'll see a bunch of them on the floor. Like you see there's a tree and there's a bunch of purple, just black fruit all over the floor. More likely a mulberry. It is not poisonous. It's a fruit. It's a beautiful berry that tastes amazing, and we have that at the Foodway. We have like 2 or 3 of those trees, so the fruits are amazing. You can enjoy them. The leaves of the white mulberry, because there's the one that you guys are looking at right now, and then there's also the white one. The leaves of the white mulberry are medicinal, really good for cholesterol. Yeah, really amazing for cholesterol. So just wanted to put that out there. And if you have a mulberry in your backyard or in your neighborhood, you know, it's safe to eat. You have an amazing forever berry trees in your space. So definitely um, try it if you've never had it before. I know a lot of people, when I've seen them in the street, like they just didn't know that that was something that they can eat. But yeah, it is. And the same thing as the service berry, you want to wait until it is that beautiful dark purple color, and you'll see why. I mean, taste them in all of its stages so you can understand for yourself and pick which stage you like. Because you might just like it when it's red and not too sweet. You might like the sour sweet phase of the mulberry. So taste them.
Yeah. And I just, I'll put a plug out there for those of you who are planning on foraging on your own property and maybe don't know the history of the soils and are curious or feeling afraid to try the fruit. I just want to put a quick plug that we are doing soil testing here at a Bronx River House, and you can drop off a soil sample at our office or connect with us on a first Saturday at Concrete Plant Park, where we will be doing public soil testing. So take advantage of that opportunity. Knowledge is power. Know if your soil is contaminated and if there's anything you should be concerned about as you embark on your foraging adventures. But I did just want to note, if for those that are going a step further beyond just identifying by fruit and are looking at leaves of the mulberry, it's very tricky to track the mulberry leaf because they just change based on their life cycle. So there's an image at the bottom right you probably have glanced already. Some are deeply lobed, Lobed, and they almost look like an oak tree or something like that. But as they get older, they turn into just a single oval. You can see as it kind of gets older. So just take note of those differences, you know, explore the tree as you're starting to maybe forage on some fruit. Um, but yeah, just note that the leaves can play games on you. You might see something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's mulberry. And then look at the leaf and you're like, but it's different. Um, and something that I don't have an image of, but it's important to note, if you're digging up mulberry, they always have yellow roots. So another identifying quality can be the roots, which are yellow.
Yeah, the leaves are definitely tricky, and the one of the best way is when you just wait until there are fruit in the tree, right? If you're new to foraging and you're like, well, how do I know, right? If it keeps changing, well, pay attention to trees that have fruits. If you see a tree that have fruit, then you know, get your app out, right? Your plant ID app, right? Get that out to identify the tree. Once it says, if it says serviceberry, right? So at this point, that's when you're gonna get closer. Look at the leaves, right? Look at the different markers on that tree because you know what it is, right? And you see all the leaves are the same, good. Once you identify mulberry, you know, like Nathan said, the leaves have, you know, they change. Look at the leaves on that tree. Now that you know it's mulberry because the berries are there, now look at the leaves so you can see all of the, because you're going to see them in different shapes. So you get acquainted with different variation of it. So that's just an easier place to start, and then start to work on identifying the leaves and getting to know that it comes in different shapes.
Yes,
That's
so
how I
berry season
identify
is
which
on the
hazel.
horizon.
That's how I learned how to identify which hazel, because the leaves for me, it was, I just wasn't getting it, but the flower is very easy. So once I'm like, okay, that's witch hazel because of the flower. When spring came, I went back to that same exact tree that I know it's a witch hazel just to see what do the leaves look like now. And then in the summer, I went back to that same one again. And so I can see the different stages. And then now I can identify it in any season with no problem. So that is a way that you can go about learning to identify plant and having that knowledge stick with you. You want to revisit that same tree in different season to get acquainted with all of its changes.
Really good advice. That is actually something I don't think I've ever verbalized, but I do all the time. I have like a very good memory of all the trees that I love, and I can identify during the season that I can identify, and then I'll revisit to understand what the other seasons look like. Um, and it's definitely a great way to know your landscape and understand how small sometimes our landscapes are. Sometimes they feel really big, but when we take that moment to acknowledge each plant that exists, we're like, oh, actually, that's not that large. There's only 30 trees over here, and I've seen, 5 mulberry, 6 serviceberry, and then you're like, okay, I've mapped out the forest.
Absolutely.
But
Well,
Journey,
guys,
any
I hope
kind of
that you
closing?
guys, huh?
Oh, I'm realizing there's a lapse. I'm like, if you have any closing words for us before we hop off,
Yes. So,
the floor is yours.
yeah, the one thing I'm gonna say is that I hope you guys found the information that we provided you guys today helpful. Get out there, and today's it's a beautiful day, so let's take advantage of it, and also let's be thankful of the rain as well, because the more it rains, the plants, the flower, all of the stuff that we want to harvest and enjoy, right? The rain is feeding that. So let's take that moment to also be happy for the rain as well. But get out there, get you some sun, some fresh air.
Yes, and another shout out to our mamas out there in the world. This past Sunday was Mother's Day. This past Tuesday was Mexican Mother's Day.
Oh,
And I'm sure we should always celebrate our mothers every day. But uh, shout out to the mamas out there, and we will be back together next week for another acknowledging our elders. We'll be joined by Jawan Gibson, and we'll be hearing some plants that keep Jawan grounded. So thank you again, Journey, for all the words of wisdom as we go out and forage. And we'll be back together soon. Bye, y'all.
bye.